The Gran Premio Emilia Romagna Grand Prix is back here for this year. The Emilia Romagna Grand Prix for 2025. And we are back for FP1 here this weekend at Italy. It is round 7 of 24 rounds, and it's 4.909 kilometers, 3.05 miles, 63 laps, and the race lap record of a 115.4, track lap record of a 113.6, the qualifying record around this circuit. It's undulation and it is cambered as well around this circuit. There are 3 different types of tyres, and there's the softer compound here this weekend. It is the C6 tyre, the C5 and the C4. The C6, first time it's been used since pre-testing last year. The FIA Formula One World Championship kicks off round 7 at Italy. FP1 is about to kick underway here this week, and it is going to be quite exciting indeed for absolutely everybody here. The weather conditions are looking nice, and it is one of the coldest circuits we go to. The track temperature 37 degrees. It's not as hot as what we saw in Miami, of nearly up to 50-degree temperatures, making it one of the highest circuits we go to back at Miami. But we throw it back at you, and it's 37-degree track temperature here at Imola this weekend. We still have we have 3 60-minute practice sessions still to come, and this session will be indicative, most likely here, because the track temperature is going to be the lowest that it's going to be all day. FP2 is not going to be as indicative. It's going to be probably the most indicative session that we will get here, as the paddock and the grandstands are filling up here. And also this year there's a few different resurfacing. There's a few different resurfaces around this circuit that just makes it a little bit more easier for the drivers to guess as to where the track limits are, and track limits will definitely be pushed in qualifying compared to practice when the track is not at its best, but qualifying will be quite important. Franco Colapinto in on screen, and you might be wondering, why is Franco Colapinto in? He's being replaced by Jack Doohan here this year for the next 5 races, so right up until round 13, and we will get Jack Doohan back in that Alpine. Kimi Antonelli, he was really strong last time out in Miami. He got the sprint pole, wasn't able to convert the sprint pole, but he was close enough to this. He was close enough to the sprint win. Oscar Piastri, though, he's been bagging wins one by one, and he's up 16 points clear of Lando Norris in the championship over Max Verstappen, George Russell, Leclerc, Antonelli, Hamilton, Albon, Ocon, and Lance Stroll as well. Meanwhile, for Lance Stroll's teammate, Fernando Alonso, who you'd think would be performing a little bit better than what he is. He's down in P17, doing a good job. Well, he's trying to get some points here, and that's what he'll be hoping for. A few Italian fans here this weekend, waiting and watching for the Formula One first practice session to kick underway. 60 minutes this session, and the red light will go green at the end of the pit lane in around about 30 seconds time. There you go, the green light is on at the end of the pit lane, and it is FP1 underway. 60 minutes for this session. Back to the normal format, being back at Miami, we had just one 60-minute practice session. We now go for 3 60-minute practice sessions to see who will be quickest at the end of this one. Carlos Sainz on screen at the moment. Williams have been quite quick lately, and I'm going to be probably expecting that to stay the same there as Franco Colapinto. He will be hoping for as many laps as possible in this session. throughout the next 3 sessions, actually. 3 60-minute practice sessions. Franco Colapinto, he's had 9 career race starts. 9 career race starts, and he done well in Formula 2 last year as well, which is, of course, the Formula 1's feature category, if you count Formula 3, which is Formula 2's feature category into Formula 2. But he did well in Formula 3, took the Formula 3 championship, did Franco Colapinto, and he's now hoping to take the Formula 1 championship very, very soon in his career. His highest finish in a Formula 1 car is 8th. So he'll be hoping to keyword try, and beat that here this week. And if he can, remember he has 6 races to try and do so, to try and prove to the Alpine team that he is the stronger car. But of course, it will take him all 3 of these practice sessions to get used to it. Circuit information, there are 19 corners. 70% of the track is full throttle. Absolutely full throttle. 300 kilometers top speed, 190 miles per hour. And the downforce rating, medium. Tyre wear, medium. It is not the highest tyre wear circuit we go to. But you'd think with the older surface, it would tear the tyres up a bit more here. Now, of course, as I just said, Imola, it has an old surface on it. One of the oldest surfaces the Formula 1 calendar goes to here. So that's interesting, being the fact that this circuit has been really, it gets used a lot, to be honest. I mean, the weekend before this, there was the World Endurance Championship a few weeks ago, and they were doing 6 hours of Imola, and the track was really gripped up at the end of that race, which you would be expecting it to be. But it's just teared the surface up a little bit more when you get more and more rubber put down on the circuit. It tears the surface up of the circuit. A lot of people already on the soft compound tyre, especially this man, Lewis Hamilton, who only really performed back in China in the sprint weekend. Hasn't really been performing since. Didn't do too bad in Imola. Didn't do too bad in Miami. Hope we happen to do well here this weekend at Imola. He's currently on a lap at the moment, but of course, most of these laps that you will see for the first 10-15 minutes of the session will not be indicative until the Pirelli rubber gets put down and the track starts to ramp up a little bit. But 1 hour of FP practice to come for these drivers as Lewis Hamilton rounds his way into turn 17 and turn 18 and turn 19. Turn 17, 18, and then into 19. And Lewis Hamilton, 119.9 for that first lap. Riccardo Ademi, the race engineer for Lewis Hamilton. He's probably going to be quite excited for this. You can see a lot of red shirts in the grandstands because it is Ferrari's home race. So Lewis Hamilton, he's got a lot of pressure on himself, especially this man, Leclerc, being the main guy around this circuit, the guy that will be most likely loved this weekend. He is Italiano, the Italiano circuit, the home of Ferrari here. So Ferrari will be hoping for a bit of a good race weekend, being their home circuit. Alonso saying, I nearly crashed with Leclerc. Alonso not happy with that on the softer rubber. Charles Leclerc there, letting him go by, moving out of the chicane and off to the left-hand side. Most people have done a lap so far, about 14 people. Gabriele Bortoleto on screen in the Kick Sauber. He holds the Imola track record in an F2 car. So he still holds it to this very day. And how cool will it be if you actually got the chance to take the F1 lap record around here. Race Control have noted that impediment between Leclerc and Fernando Alonso So yeah, that will be checked from everybody down there in race control. The FIA will be checking that one, making sure that there wasn't actually a real impediment in that. But Gabriele Bortoleto on screen. Antonelli currently top of the session with 50 minutes to go in this one. Antonelli currently top of the session. Personal best, the first and second sector for Bortoleto. Will there be... I'm guessing there won't be much improvement here in this one. Yuki Tsunoda now goes to the top of the session in the Red Bull. Bortoleto now coming across the line, and he goes up P12. 1.8 seconds off Tsunoda, 120.3. Now that lap record that Bortoleto holds 26.3 in an F2 car, so quite cool to see there. He holds that record, does Gabriele Bortoleto. He's currently in the Kick-Sauber, he's just moved himself up to 14th. So no further investigation for turn 15 impediment between Leclerc and Alonso. That is good news for everybody down there at Ferrari. This is George Russell at the moment. He's down in P5. Now, the one thing that will play a big role in this weekend is the soft rubber. It is the C6 tyre that all these drivers will be running on if they go onto the soft compound tyre, which I can tell you this much, that will be happening. Now, what Pirelli have been wanting to do is they've been wanting to change up the strategy around here, gone from a one-stop, trying to do a two-stop here. So two-stop might be the way to go here as we take a look on board here with Gabriele Bortoleto taking his run down into the final corner, the double apex of turn 18 and 17. Bortoleto saying, check the ride height, bottoming out too much on the straight. It's crazy, I can't even get my head straight. So, checking the ride height there for the Kick-Sauber car of Gabriele Bortoleto. Now, that is one big thing around here. The bumps are crazy down the straight. And sometimes it can unsettle the car when you hit that first apex of turn 1. It will unsettle the car quite a lot. Fernando Alonso at the moment, he's at the top of the session, 118.281 at the moment. No real indicative times being shown, but a lot of people on the soft compound tyre, at the moment. As I said, that top speed in the track map was nearly 300 kilometers an hour, and Colapinto just about hit that. 313 kilometers an hour down that back straight. Colapinto heading now into the second chicane. He's currently 0.4 off of the top of the session. And it's a personal best for him. He's down in P18 at the moment. He's replacing Jack Doohan, if you missed the news. Replacing Jack Doohan for the next 6 rounds. The Aussie getting a ride here this weekend at Imola, but he'll be sitting on the sidelines watching on from wherever he is at the moment. I can tell you as much, he probably is watching on. Franco Colapinto at the moment, he's up in the first and second sector, personal best, first, second sector. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what he can do in the third sector to try and match or beat Fernando Alonso at all, as makes this one up to the line, and Franco Colapinto goes up to P12 from P18, so 19.2 from Franco Colapinto. Exactly 1 second off that margin. Meanwhile, George Russell is on a lap, along with Lando Norris. He's also on a lap at the moment. Purple, so magenta to the first, second sector for Lando Norris, and it's looking good. George Russell goes to the top. He does a 1:17.5. Gasly was at the top, 1:18.1. Lando Norris goes to the top now, 1:17.491. So quick lap there from Lando Norris, 1:17.4. With a lot of sunlight, this will be probably the slowest session here, with a lot of sunlight on the circuit, being 35 degree track temperature. I was wrong when I said this will be the faster session, being FP2 will be in a bit less sunlight, a bit later on this afternoon. Nico Hulkenberg up into P9 in the Kick-Sauber on the medium tyres. He's about a second off. He's done an 18.4. It's about a second off. Fernando Alonso popped up into P3 at the moment, 117.857 to pop up into P3. But look at the margin between Norris and Russell. It's 0.3 back to Fernando Alonso there. So watching on as well, Felipe Drugovich watching on. Charles Leclerc watching on as well. Not watching on. He's actually out on track at the moment, and he's just dipped that wheel into the gravel, trying to get the maximum out of the car as he comes out of the chicane, and just dipped a wheel, 2 wheels actually, in the gravel. So probably struggling for a bit of understeer at the moment. Isaac Hadger's just popped up into P6. He's done a 117.9 to go P6 in this session. Leclerc at the moment, he's down in P18. He's coming on a lap. It is personal best to the first sector. Does he improve? Will he improve at all? He's about 0.3 off Norris to that second sector. He's on par with Fernando Alonso, but it's not on to go to the top. He's 0.03 faster than Fernando Alonso. Here to that second sector. We'll see if he can actually keep this lap rolling. Now, what a lot of these drivers will be doing is they will be race running these soft compound tyres. He's lost a bit of time in that last sector. He's gone to P4 for Leclerc, just in behind Fernando Alonso, and in front of Lance Stroll. What a lot of people will be doing in this session is they will be testing the softer rubber, seeing how fast it degrades, and seeing if the two-stop is actually needed around here. Gabriele Bortoleto has just popped up at P10, displacing Liam Lawson out of the 10. Personal best first, second sector for Lewis Hamilton. He's popped up in P3, displacing Fernando Alonso. And it is Ferrari 3 and 5 at the moment. A lot of Italian fans will be watching on for qualifying a bit later on. 46.5 minutes to go here, so still quite a while in this session. For all these drivers to try and get acclimatized to the circuit. One person that will be wanting to get acclimatized to the circuit is Gabriele Bortoleto, not Gabriele Bortoleto, Franco Colapinto, who will be wanting to get as acclimatized to the circuit as possible. He's currently out on the medium compared tyre. He's on an outlap. At the moment, he's down to P17. On board here with what looks to be Oscar Piastri. Now, the C6 tyre compound, the softest of Pirelli's 2025 range, makes its debut this weekend. And it won't be the first time or the last time we see the C6 rubber on these cars. And it makes its debut at Imola, the home of Ferrari. Here this weekend, it makes its debut with just under 45 minutes to go here in this session. On board here with Oscar Piastri as he makes his way down the back straight, and Ferrari will be hoping for what is hoping for a strong weekend. Leclerc over the radio saying, I've got so much lift at the point of turn 1. So the apex of turn 1, he's got too much lift. So reporting that back to the team, and they will try and adjust that car a bit better for Leclerc. This is Oscar Piastri, personal best first, second sector. Also improving is Pierre Gasly. Piastri has now just popped up into P3, 0.12 faster than what Hamilton did. And Gasly now also popped up into P4. He's 0.06 faster than Lewis Hamilton. Meanwhile, Lando Norris, he is improving, and it's magenta, first and second sector. So to get the lap time that he's getting out of these tyres is quite astonishing. Here as Norris makes his now run down into the final two corners of the circuit, 200 and nearly 300 kilometers an hour as he crosses the line, and he's improved his time, 1:17.1, pulls that margin, 0.4 of a second back to Russell, and then behind Russell is his teammate, Oscar Piastri. With just under 45 minutes to go, Andrea Stella watching on there for McLaren, team boss. Gabriele Bortoleto, who's just popped up to P3. That is a really good time there from the Kick Sauber driver. Also, Isaac Hadjar, he's improving at the moment. Purple to the first sector, not so quick to the second sector. Need to try and find some time back here for Isaac Hadjar, but we'll pop him up. And quite a far up the field here. Bortoleto did that lap on mediums. That is a really good lap. 17.5 from Bortoleto. Hadjar improving. What's this lap going to be? P6. So, not a bad run there from Isaac Hadjar. Half a second off the pace. 1:17.6. So, as I said, they're not a bad lap. Pierre Hamlin, watching on in the Racing Bulls garage. Race engineer of Isaac Hadjar, giving him all the information. Being P6, half a second off. Franco Colapinto on replay here. Getting that car right up on the curbs of turn 14. Even kicking a bit of dust from the grass on. So, taking a lot of that curbing and using actually every little bit of curb there is there. Ferrari fans watching on. There is I can tell you this much. Come race day, there are going to be flocks of people coming in. You can see, not even down the final corner. Not even the final corner is packed at the moment. Medium speed corners at the moment, Norris is faster by just 0.2 than Russell through the medium speed corners. But as the weekend evolves, that might change just a little bit. George Russell on lap at the moment as he takes every little bit of curb. And look at that. He's up on the softer rubber. He's 0.1 up on Lando Norris. He's magenta to the first sector. He has to keep it that way through the second and third sector, which a lot of drivers have been struggling to keep the car straight through the second sector so far. George Russell kicking up dust as he makes his way up through the top part of the circuit. Nearly 4 meters in elevation around here. He's still up through that second sector on the softer rubber. 0.2 up in that second sector. He's improving. Sonoda pops up into P2. Now that second sector, 26.654 from George Russell. Improving. Personal best. Purple. Magenta. First, second sector. Had a bit of a slide coming out of the third final corner, sorry. And now the penultimate corner goes to the top. George Russell, 16.599, nearly half a second faster than Lando Norris. So to combine all those three sectors, 24.287, 26.654, and a 25.658 from George Russell. To combine all three of those sectors. Just under 20 minutes to go on in this session. And Max Verstappen on screen at the moment. We'll see what this first sector is like. It is matching George Russell in the first sector for Max Verstappen, the 3-time world champion. reaching speeds of up to 270 kilometers an hour. He'll hold it flat through the fast left-hander. And then up through turn 12 and into turn 13. Alex Albon, he's also on a lap down in P15. He's matching George Russell in the first sector. Max Verstappen, not so quick in the second sector. About 0.2 off in that mid-sector. Probably struggling to find a bit of timing here for the Red Bull, trying to switch on those soft compound tyres. Albon, he's also improving as the timing screens are lining up here with personal bests absolutely everywhere. Max Verstappen, P10. So he's lost nearly 0.9 in that last sector for Max Verstappen. P10 for him. Alex Albon, P3. Pierre Gasly, he's also improving. Down in P8, he's about 0.6 off the pace of George Russell. Kimi Antonelli, George Russell's teammate, he's improving. It's personal best at a purple to the second sector, 26.646. It is practically 1,000th faster than George Russell in that second sector. The time, 16.599 to beat Gasly. Goes P2. He's done a 16.907. Kimi Antonelli pops up into P3, 0.4 of a second off his teammate. So that's a really good lap there from George Russell, 16.599. Carlos Sainz improving. Personal best, second sector. 1.2 seconds off the pace. Colapinto's just bumped himself up inside the top 10. Up into P9. Piastri now on the bubble of the 10. Carlos Sainz quickly knocks him out. P4. Half a second off the pace. He's done a 17.1 to go P4. Good job there, the Williams engineer, and also working hard at Lando Norris's car as he sits in P5. Okay, here we go. So continuing on here with FP1, we're looking here at a few replays of Yuki Tsunoda as he makes his run down into the second chicane and being just impeded. Sitting on the apex of the corner is what looks to be Pierre Gasly. So he started on the apex of the corner of turn 6 and couldn't hit that second apex of the chicane. Quite annoyed with that one there. But speaking of quick, Max Verstappen. He's quick at the moment. Purple to the first sector. Personal best to the second sector. This lap is looking to be an improvement. It might possibly be an improvement. It is P2. 0.3 of a second off George Russell. Improving quite nicely there for Max Verstappen. Went up into P2. Carlos Sainz, he's improving as well. PB, first and second sector, makes his way into turn 17 and into turn 18, and then the final corner, turn 19, just before you hit the pit exit, just have a little right kink, and now Carlos Sainz moves up into P2, 16.8, 6.7. Track dominance here. Carlos Sainz, he's quicker in practically every part of the circuit except for turn 17 and 18, where Charles Leclerc seems a little bit quicker than what Carlos Sainz is. Of course, you can join the conversation at Salesforce, hashtag Imola GP. So Leclerc there saying the screen is too small. There's less than a millimetre difference. So not happy there with the car for Leclerc. On board here with the helmet cam of Lewis Hamilton as he completely cuts the chicane and off and on the grass for Lewis Hamilton, getting grass absolutely everywhere and all over his tyres now, so that will not be a nice feeling when you go to build up for that next lap and you've still got grass on your tyres. It decreases the grip levels of the tyres you have. This is what looks to be Kimi. Oh no, this is not Kimi Antonelli. This is George Russell. So the fastest reaction time of the season is at China, 0.023 for George Russell. So that's a really good reaction time back at China. So he currently has the fastest reaction time. We talk about lap time. Think about reaction time. Here, as George Russell makes his way into turn 19 and crosses the line to quite possibly to start what is a lap. Here, as the Mercedes team watch on George Russell there, sitting at the top, 116.599 with 30 minutes to go. Haven't seen anybody use the hard tyre here this weekend, making its debut of the softer of all the tyres. Haven't seen that so far. Laps led in 2025, that goes to Oscar Piastri, 168 laps led, showing why he's leading the championship. Followed quickly behind Max Verstappen, leading 79 laps here. And then Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli as well. He's led a few laps of the Grand Prix, but haven't been able to match people like Oscar Piastri, who's sitting down at P13, just 0.1 milliseconds behind off being a second off George Russell. So he's done a 17.5. Oscar Piastri here, he's on a lap on the soft tyres, and his personal best first sector is showing that he's going to go second on my numbers here, on my quick maths, into turn 10, and make his way through the elevated part of the circuit. You won't actually notice how much camber there is into turn 13. You won't actually notice how much camber there is until you actually get to the corner. Into 15 and into 16, the chicane for Oscar Piastri is up in the second sector by 0.1 over George Russell. So showing exactly why the McLarens are really quick around this circuit, and he's proving it time and time again here. Oscar Piastri, P13 to the top, 16.545 by 5 thousandths of a second. 16.5 for Piastri, 1 minute 16.5 for him to the top. Most likely we'll have enjoyed that lap, and we'll now be reporting back to the engineers as to how that lap felt, how the car feels, and everything like that. It's George Russell starting a lap, and just up in front of him was a car dipping. Oh, also there. A lot of bottoming out from plank wear from Kimi, exit turn 4, entry turn 5. So Kimi's bottoming out a lot. T4 and T5. So that's really cool there to watch. On board there with just George Russell, and he's now giving information back to the team. Not about his car, but about Kimi's car. That's quite cool. That's the cool thing, is you sit behind the car in front of you, especially if it's your teammate, and can then tell the team how your teammate's car looks from just watching on there. Lando Norris, at the moment, he's just 0.1 down. He's done a 51.0 at the moment. He's not the fastest to the first sector, but he's on to improve on these numbers and on to actually go third at this point. So not improving to that first sector, but he's also not improving to the second sector. He's done his personal best, but I think those soft tyres are now just starting to wear out a little bit. Here, this older surface using up a lot of the tyre. T17 into T18, and then rounding into T19 as well. Lando rolled out of that lap, so that won't be an improvement there from Lando. He's actually rolled out of that one. He's done a 19.8, showing that it's not the fastest time we've seen. I got a tear off, I think, my under flap rear wing. So, complaining there about the rear wing of Hulkenberg's car, saying it's flapping, the rear wing there, but I'll most likely get onto that one. Gasly, he's matching Oscar Piastri in that first sector, the Alpine. He's looking quite quick here. He's just got to show his pace, nearly 290 kilometers an hour for Pierre Gasly as he rolls around and into T11, up into T12, and entering T13, hitting apex nicely. Then the third chicane coming up here. Gasly, he's still improving. He's faster than Piastri to that second sector by nearly 0.01 over Oscar Piastri. That's crazy. Purple to the second sector here. It's magenta. He's on to go to the top at this point to knock off that 16.545. He was taking the most laps completed of George Russell. So he's done 16 laps on those soft tyres. And Pierre Gasly has just moved up to P3 on his 15th lap. Hamilton there complaining already the car doesn't want to stop. So struggling there with a few brake issues there for Lewis Hamilton, it seems. And they'll adjust that throughout this session. Dave Greenwood, the racing director for Alpine, watching on there. Probably seeing Gasly lap, and he will be liking what he's seeing up there in P3. Meanwhile, Colapinto down there in P16. And he's second off the pace. Comparing the two Kick-Sauber's laps here. Bortoleto seems to be quicker through S1 and S3. So Sector 1 and Sector 3 seem to be the quicker parts of the sectors for Gabriel Bortoleto. And Hulkenberg seems to be quite quick through Sector 2. So engineers and teams and principals will be looking through that data, and they'll be tuning the car to try and match the two cars, maybe make one car faster than what the other one is. It's quite annoying when you see that happen, when you've got one car that's, when your teammate's faster than you and he's a rookie, and Gabriel Bortoleto, he's a quick rookie. So that's exactly why he's up in P6 and outmatching his teammate of Nico Hulkenberg in P7. Meanwhile, Bortoleto, he's 0.04 off of Oscar Piastri in that first sector. And Lewis Hamilton, I've just seen him go through turn 9, and he's just, on those brake issues that he had, he just struggled to get the car stopped through turn 9 and turn 10. And then exiting through turn 13 and turn 14, he also seemed to just sort of struggle to get the car turned in and stopped. Gabriel Bortoleto, he's improving. Lewis Hamilton also has just improved. Now separates the top 3 by less than 0.1. Norris is also improving. Personal best first, second sector. Along with Gabriel Bortoleto, who we were just on board with. Norris exits turn 18 and into 19. And now goes P2. 0.03 off the pace of Oscar Piastri. Not a bad lap. Gabriel Bortoleto stays P8. He's done 17.494 to go P8. 0.3 off the pace of Oscar Piastri. So once again, the McLaren's looking quite quick. And speaking of quick, Albon is extremely quick at the moment. He's matching Gasly in that second sector. He's nearly 0.1 faster than Piastri in that first sector. So Albon owning that first sector really quick by nearly 0.1 over the McLaren of Piastri. Kimi Antonelli currently on a lap at the moment. Sorry about that. Someone was calling me. So Kimi Antonelli at the moment currently on a lap. It's actually not a really indicative lap, what looks to be at the moment, as he hits through turn 14 and turn 15. Not exactly an indicative lap here. So Kimi Antonelli doing a bit of a race run, what seems to be, for Kimi Antonelli. This is on board and making his run now out of the final few corners. This is Carlos Sainz. He's improving, and it's a really good lap, actually. The Williams are looking really quick through Sector 1. 24.2. It is nearly 0.3 faster than what Piastri did in that first sector. He's nearly lost half a second in that second sector. So tuning the cars to the first sector seems to be where those cars are struggling, and they've got it perfect. Carlos Sainz, purple to the first sector, yellow to the second sector, so no improvement at the moment. But there might be a bit of an improvement here. Maybe, just maybe, he'll improve? No. So he won't improve. He stays P6, 1:16.7, 1.2 seconds off the pace. So lost quite a chunk of time through that second and third sector. Nearly 0.3 faster in that first sector. It was just astonishing when I saw the number. I was like, wow. Yuki Tsunoda been complaining of being impeded a lot, and that is showing there by the reaction of Yuki Tsunoda. Not happy with the impeding of other cars. This is Nico Hulkenberg. Makes his run up through the top part of the circuit, and oh, now that's not good. So Hulkenberg, he'll most likely say that on the radio. It is dangerous when you go uphill slowly. For just saying there, Hulkenberg not happy with that one. This is the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. Real sideways. Out in the gravel. Now, that white line, that's Franco Colapinto, got real wide. Now, that white line behind that black rubbered strip is the track limits. So if you go over that white line, you're most likely in danger of losing your lap time. Did you just see? That was crazy. Leclerc just took a bunch of curb over that chicane. So drivers are pushing the cars more and more as the track gets better and better and more rubber gets put down. So people are going quicker and quicker in FP1. Lewis Hamilton, fastest to the first sector. We'll see what he can do. Carlos Sainz at the moment, he's on a lap, and he's not improving to that first and second sector, but he's just getting real sideways out of that final sector. So the Williams are really quick in that first sector, not so quick through the second and third sector, but he's found a chunk of time in that third sector. It's popped him up into third. Less than a tenth separates the top three. That is quite astonishing. There, as we look on board here with Carlos Sainz's cousin and manager, actually. So that is cool to see. 11 minutes to go here in first practice session for Formula One. Lewis Hamilton on board here. driving real slowly. And, okay, so that's... So, Lewis Hamilton, they're saying over the radio, the RB just brake tested me. So he's coming through the top part of the track and just saying he's just been brake tested through the top part there. So Hamilton finding a lot of his time through the low speed corners of... Finding a lot of time through there. Nearly 0.6 faster than what Oscar Piastri is. So that's almost quite astonishing. So if he could find time through the slow speed corners for Lewis Hamilton, he could gap Piastri by nearly 0.6. So McLaren not looking as fast, and maybe Ferrari looking a little bit quicker here in this first practice session. It's also quite possible that McLaren haven't shown their true pace yet, being the top 10 cars are separated by less than half a second. So McLaren not showing their true pace here in cooler conditions of Imola, but track temperatures come up a little bit. Here it's actually come up to 36, so it's gone up a degree since the start of the session. No wonder we're not finding real time here between every car. Not finding time for everybody at the moment. Oscar Piastri here at the moment completing his lap. And I want to try and get an onboard here with the car and just look at the way that some of these cars behave as we watch Piastri. You can see the bumps as he enters turn 1, and his head shaking up and down as you watch through Oscar Piastri. It is really bumpy as he hit turn 1 and into turn 2. Real bumpy. And that was just the example. The top 10 are separated by less than half a second. That's tight. And the top 5 are separated by less than a tenth. Wow, that's tight. 16.5 plays a 16.5, plays a 16, 16.5 plays a 16.5, plays a 16.6, plays a 16.6, plays a 16.7. So, 16.6 from Hamilton, and then 16.6, 16.9. Yeah, it's really tight. Like, the numbers are extremely tight. And you'll see that when we head to Monaco next. The numbers will be even tighter. I mean, it's not easy. Definitely not easy to put a lap around Monaco, and I'll be streaming Monaco next weekend, the triple header of the European Tour Formula 1. With 8.5 minutes left in this session for Leclerc, as most people at the moment are on a race run. So that's why, especially myself, I'm not seeing as fast lap times. Now, also a fun fact, the top 17 cars back down to Colapinto are separated by 0.828 of a second. That's crazy. 0.8 separates the top 17 cars. And it's 1.1 seconds separates the field. So just over a second separates the field. That's when you know the margins are tight. Extremely tight, the margins around here. And there's no room for error either, as the Ferrari flags wave, and people will be watching people like Ferrari to see if they can perform here this weekend at their home track of Imola and Monza as we start the European Series. You can see the stats there of Ferrari around this circuit. Stats of Ferrari: the most important win is the next one. The famous saying by Ferrari: next important win is the next one, and this one could be the round for Ferrari. One car is inside the top 10 in this first practice session. It is Lewis Hamilton. He's separated by 0.1. So just needs 0.1 of a second to go to the top here. And if you can find that 0.1, which We know it's the slow speed corners that Piastri or McLaren are slacking in a little bit. You could find nearly 0.2 through the slow speed corners there for Ferrari, and they could be 1-2. But instead, it is McLaren sitting 1-2 at the moment. Everybody out there on the soft rubber, except Ollie Behrman. He's coming out there on a race run at the moment. So that's what a lot of people will be doing here in this session, doing a bit of a mini race run. Everybody's out on the circuit except Carlos Sainz, Albon, Kimi Antonelli, Tsunoda, and Colapinto, who are all in the pits at the moment. So everybody's done a lap on the soft compound tyres, and now everybody might be testing a few different compounds of rubber. We will see the soft compound tyres be used a lot more through this weekend. We'll see it in qualifying. And looking at lap times, you might get 2 or 3 laps, maybe two straight push laps out of the soft compound tyres. So that's good to know. And most teams will be testing the durability of most tyres as well, with just under 5.5 minutes to go in this session. As we look on board here with Max Verstappen, this is as he comes down into the final 2 corners, the penultimate 2 corners. Backs off, starts a lap, gets real sideways. Speak of traction control, that is a bit of control of the rear end through turn 18. Struggling with control of that rear end of the Red Bull car of Max Verstappen. He's not happy as he moves to the left-hand side of the circuit, showing not happy with that car. 4.5 minutes to go in this session. It's Oscar Piastri leading over Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton. There's Henna Schmitz watching on through the pit wall. Kick Sauber also looking on. Both their cars inside the top 10. That's Peter Sauber, the home of Stake Kick Sauber. Both cars inside the top 10, so that's promising there for Kick. Gabriele Bortoleto as well. He's not improving, but again, as I said, most people are doing a bit of a race run here in this one. So we won't be getting the true potential now. Of course, it will bite. It will bite hard if you crash out. If you crash in this session with 3.5 minutes to go, this circuit will definitely bite hard. And it will, especially, the circuit will bite quite hard if you crash here in this session. But the whole field is separated by 1.1 seconds back down to Ocon. So Ocon not showing his true pace here in this session. 16.545, what looks to be the fastest time, what might be fastest time from Oscar Piastri. Alex Albon, as he makes his way into the 2 left and right chicanes. This is, at the moment, what looks to be a flyer for Alex Albon. See what we can do. Is this a flyer? This is not. He's nearly second off the pace. He's 0.2 faster than Ocon into that first sector. So, not true pace being shown here with 2.5 minutes to go. Not many people worrying about getting on the fresh, soft rubber when most people will have done that earlier on in the session. If you haven't done that yet, it's probably time you do it here in this session. So people testing the durability of the soft tyres. There's a yellow flag at the moment. Oh, a car on the wall, and that is one of the Kick Sauber cars. That's Gabriele Bortoleto. I was just talking about Gabriele Bortoleto, both cars being inside the top 10, and he's binned it as he's come through the top part of the circuit. Gabriele Bortoleto in the wall at what looks to be, might be through turn 17, that looks. Yes, it is. So that's not good. And he won't be getting out of that because he's actually beached in the gravel down there. That's a turn 18, so that's practically the second final corner for Gabriele Bortoleto. Let's see what happened as he's come down. Oh, he's just lost the rear end of the car. Oh yeah, he has. He's just lost the rear end, and there's gonna be a little bit of suspension damage on the front of that car. Just lost the rear end and into the gravel, and then coincidentally in the wall. So not a big hit, but it's big enough to do a bit of damage to that car. So that will most likely not restart the session at all. And there's going to be a lot of work to do for the Kick Sauber team to get that car back out for FP2. My time, 3:30 p.m. Not looking good there as Mattia Benito, the head of Audi F1. So, of course, Kick Sauber moving to Audi next year, and he's the head of that requirement there. Bortoleto out of the car now. He was actually quicker than Kimi Antonelli by nearly 0.3 of a second throughout the lap. So, that's exactly why. But Oscar Piastri in the pits. Most people will now be in the pits, and that will be the end of the session. It's Oscar Piastri, the fastest at the end of FP1, and it's showing because he's got pace, and he's won the past 3-4 races. This is the lap from Oscar Piastri here, and it is an epic lap from Oscar, and it's nicely done. He had the lap perfectly set up, and in the end, it was the fastest time of the session. He was able to do it. He done it in style. Oscar Piastri, the 81 McLaren, does it again. .116.5 was that lap from Oscar Piastri in the first practice session. But the soft tyres are working the miracle here, as that is the end of FP1. Oscar Piastri followed by Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Hamilton, Gasly, Verstappen, Albon, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Leclerc down in P12. So 2 Ferraris, 1 inside the top 10, 1 outside the top 10. And the 2 Hasses down in P18 and P20. So a lot of data being gathered in that session for FP1. And one thing that I've gathered out of that session is that Williams look quick. Now, they've looked quick through practice. They just haven't been able to turn their car into a qualifying car. So they haven't been able to switch their car onto a qualifying car. Can they do it? We'll have to wait and find out when we head into FP2 a bit later on today. What I mean by a bit later on today, I mean a couple hours' time. But that is it from me here this morning. I will be back from around about 3:30 this afternoon. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.